go to the live stream soon. It does take a few seconds to be able to actually start, as I'm sure you know, between Zoom and which service do you use?
Do you know, I've never used Zoom and something. I always
Oh,
use
okay.
Restream.
Okay. Well, I'm
Restream's
using
higher.
Restream as the third party app,
Yeah,
but through
it's a
Zoom.
brilliant product.
Yeah, it is. I wanted to be able to use that direct, but then I wanted to have, this kind of forum as well where a few of us could get together also. So otherwise, yeah, I have used the Restream direct. All right, so welcome everybody. I think we're live. So we're streaming now to LinkedIn and Facebook and Facebook profile and YouTube. So if you're watching us there, please, I really want to thank you. If you do have any questions or comments, I'll get to them as quickly as possible, and bring in the experts as well if we have questions that we can actually answer. So unfortunately, I can't see the comments directly, so it is going to take me a little bit to actually go back and find some of those. But thank you again in advance for taking the time to watch the live stream as well. So today, in one of the many sessions of this marathon live stream, I've actually got Timothy Hughes, who's joining me all the way from London, UK.
London.
London. There we go. From England, the land of the Queen, or the King. Sorry,
It's the
whoops.
king now.
And the third Prime Minister, or the fourth or
Yeah.
fifth. Yeah, exactly. So welcome, Timothy. I'm just going to do a quick little intro, and then we'll get into chatting as well. So hang on tight. All right, so I wanted to welcome everybody here to the grand opening of Strategystorming.co, where we're rethinking and reinventing business. And really, ultimately, the goal here is to put together the pieces that will help businesses not only survive but thrive as well. And so it's the online strategy studio and shop that is changing how we rethink, reinvent, and reimagine how to do better business through strategic thinking, through understanding, what are the levers that we need to use? How do we actually put all these pieces together? How can we make businesses succeed? Whether the times are chaotic or not, we still kind of really need to understand those fundamental ingredients that are really important. So I wanted to build a place that allows us to do that, to connect with people that we're speaking with now, with Tim rather, and all throughout the day we've had some amazing speakers. Dean coming up in the next 20 minutes or so. So it's been a really fun adventure today. And so we have, like I said, Timothy Hughes joining us. Dean Keating is coming up next, and he's actually next door from Perth, Australia, with me way over here on this side of the planet. And I'm just looking at this list, and it makes me smile every time because we're going down it quickly. Next thing you know, it's going to be done. But I've had the rare opportunity of speaking with like over 24 amazing people from around the world in the last 12 to 13 hours when we're all said and done. So we're on the last little legs here. So it's really exciting. And so thank you so much for being able to join in. And Tim, welcome to the show. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you. I've been watching you put this together, Doyle, and I respect you, because this must have been like herding cats.
Yeah. No, it was actually pretty good because I set the schedule and then I kind of filled in the blanks. So, but I had to use
So
time.
how's your voice?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I thought I would be a little bit more hoarse, but I've been trying to drink water throughout the day. So, yeah, I'm on hour nine. So
Hour nine.
yeah,
And isn't it amazing that you're on the other side of the world to me?
I know that's the coolest part, and that's what really kind of makes me smile is that I can talk with Timothy Hughes all the way from London, England, while I'm still in Perth, Australia,
Mm.
and other
And there's
amazing
no
people.
satellite delay or anything. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. That's what you call global business, right? Getting things done from around the world. So yeah, so it's been quite an adventure. Scheduling was fun, but then I looked at it and said, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? Did I ask too many people? I could have done it in half the time, but I wanted to be able to talk with amazing people like Timothy Hughes, right? We've been chatting over the years, and it's always a pleasure to speak, talk business, and your sort of strategies and what you're doing and the exciting stuff that's going on with you. So quickly tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's go into the new book that you've got.
So I've been the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite now for the last 6 years. Previously, that I worked in corporate. My background is sales, and I've been in various sales and sales leadership roles in the high tech industry. And then probably about 8-10 years ago, spotted that the fact that the world was changing, and the world was changing through social media. And decided with my business partner Adam Gray that we'd set up a company, and that we would do something about it. Little did we know that COVID would come along and accelerate that. I mean, 6 years ago, we were telling everybody that we would be having Zoom meetings, and you could do that across the world, and we'd be using social media, and everybody would be using mobile phones, and we were laughed at.
You're so old school, Timothy. Come on.
So,
Get with the future.
so the thing is that social media has changed the world. It's changed society, and it's changed the way that we do business. I mean, you just look at the people that you've got. We're connected on social media. We can have conversations, and there's zero friction. Certainly in the UK, the world of politics runs on social media now. We had what at one point many years ago, I think it was during the Olympics, we actually had the Prime Minister of Australia talking to another Prime Minister on Twitter. So these things are, it's everywhere. And so what we've seen is that the fact that there's been this migration from buyers to use social media, but that's also now job seekers. So there was some research that came out recently that 96% of job seekers are using social media. I mean, I don't know what the other 4% are doing, because maybe they're not getting jobs. But I mean,
they're not seeking jobs.
The first thing that I was asked when I came on here was, "Where's your LinkedIn profile?" And this is the change that we're seeing, which is that there's a term that's being used out there, which is digital twin. And the facts of the matter is that we have this movement between the physical world, which is where we are now. We're taking the dog for a walk, we're feeding the cat, and we then move into the digital world. So we bring up LinkedIn and that. And the first question I was asked about, what's my LinkedIn profile? My LinkedIn profile is my digital twin. Mm-hmm. It's the profile that I want people to see about me in the digital world. So it's not written as a CV. It's not written as a whole bunch of my objectives or stuff like that. It's about me, which is actually what you'll find is that your buyers actually the way that they want to see you, because what they're looking for is advice. This is a great piece of content that offers knowledge, advice, help, support to people. You listen in and you're going to learn something. And that's what buyers are looking for in terms of you and your LinkedIn profile. It was Mark that said earlier on that before we came on live that our job is to serve, and if we're in sales and marketing and leadership, our job is to serve. Our job is to help. Our job is to support, to sponsor, to mentor, and all of those things. And while sometimes people think that kind of is a little bit anti-sales or a little bit, that's what modern buyers want. That's what modern job seekers want. And that's the change that we've seen. I can rattle on for ages if you want me to, Doyle. I mean, if you want to save your voice,
yeah, I was just going to say, well, that saves me from talking. No, it's pretty good. And yeah, we've really come to use LinkedIn as that tool that really kind of allows us to connect with people. And it's become very, very powerful. Has it also become kind of, in some cases, superfluous? Like is it really needed, or are people using it the way they should? Or sometimes there's I would have to say there's a lot of fluff on LinkedIn. It's not all just business, or does there need to be fluff?
There's also a lot of boring stuff on LinkedIn, because I mean, if you take your timeline, you'll go boring, interesting, and a lot of that is because brands still think that what people want are brochures. They're still living in the 1980s and 1990s. We don't want brochures. HubSpot shows that coming to your website, we're only there for 2 or 4 minutes, because what we do is we go, yeah, Doyle obviously exists and he's obviously got some stuff. That's all I need to know. And what we then do is that we then drill down the detail, and we do that on social media. So it's more it's that backup of the more detail. But so one of the things that you will find is that people are still marketing like we did back in 1980 and 1990, which is based on interruption. So, cold calling, I interrupt you and I pitch. Email marketing is I interrupt you and I pitch. Advertising is I interrupt you and I pitch. And that no one's interested in that anymore. We don't believe anything that people say. We don't trust people. We don't want to talk to any salespeople because they're going to try and sell us something. So there has to be some other different way. And so what we found is actually that social media is social media. And so what happens on social media is we have conversations. And actually, people don't come to social media to read brochures. All the research shows that. And what they do is they come to social media to have conversations, just like this, and to find out stuff. And I've got a big board presentation next week, and I need some slides. I don't want to look stupid in front of the board. There must be someone out there that can help me. And we go on and we go online and we search because we know that there's a big pool of content and a big pool of knowledge. And whether we ask questions or whether we're just searching for that slide deck or that piece of research or whatever it is, we're going to social media and we're doing that. And it's changed the way it's changed business. Yeah. And we saw an inflection point probably in October 2020 when we went into our second lockdown, when everybody went, shit, this is for real. And this is, I am actually going to be working from home now for the next 12 months. Little did we know it's going to be 24 months. And we saw that inflection point where certain organizations said, right, we're online now. We're digital. And they made that switch. So if I may talk about my book.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So when I wrote the first edition back in 2015, it came out in 2016. The idea behind it was to have a workbook, something that salespeople could actually use and carry it around. And there's a whole bunch of people that still do that. They've ticked it off. They've highlighted areas. And what I didn't want was to have a book that was about fluff. Can
you define
one of the
fluff?
one of the sales leaders that I was working with at the time? We were sitting in a meeting of the day of the first brainstorming session. I had a co-author on that first one. And the sales leader basically leant across the desk, pointed a finger at me and said, this social selling's all very well, but where's the effing leads? And that was the thing, the theme that we used when we wrote the book, when we brainstormed it, was that whenever we looked at it, we said, okay, based on this area, where are we going to get the leads from? How are we going to connect this to revenue generation? And so that book was written, and I've had many a person say to me, it's the first social media book that they've read where they've actually seen this connection between social media and revenue and pipeline. And so I really went to town with it with this second edition. We updated it because there was a number of things that was starting to get a bit old. There was clout in it and stuff like that, which is stopped being something in 2018.
Yeah. Why is there no way to measure that then? Let me ask you about that. There's been a few tools that have kind of come and gone. Really? That's
GDPR.
Why. Okay.
There's a whole bunch of things that changed because of Cambridge Analytica and things like GDPR. And of course, GDPR, even though it's a European regulation, impacts businesses across the world. So wherever you are, it still impacts you. And so what we did with the second book is that I actually invited people that are already doing social to basically contribute. So there's 15 contributors. So I've got Daniel Guzman from Mercia. I've got Anita Vasily from Ericsson. I've got a headhunter friend of mine who's written, this is what I'm looking for on social media to fill jobs. And funnily enough, it's not your LinkedIn profile as a CV. I've got contributors from clients of ours like Cyberhawk, Telstra, Ring Central, Namos, which is a 100-person Oracle reseller. The particular one I like is Chris Fleming, who's the CEO of Cyberhawk. who runs a digital business, and they've been running a digital business for 18 months. Now, when I talk about digital, I'm not talking about having applications and apps and that. I'm talking about having an empowered team, people, and processes which are digitally based. And this is the difference, is that the mistake that people make is that they think digital is all about a new ERP system or being in the cloud or stuff like that. It's not. I had a fintech guy come to me and said, "Oh, we're 100% digital." I said, "You're not." He said, "How do you know?" I said, "I can see you on LinkedIn." I said, "You guys don't understand digital." And it's like, digital is not about the applications you're using. Digital is about your mindset and whether the people empowered to do it. So, for example, many of our clients, they don't use recruitment consultants anymore. They don't place job ads anymore. So they've stripped out that cost out of the business. And they do it because what they do is that they get a social. And they talk about, I love working for this company. We've got this great ESG policy. We're carbon neutral. We have this great diversity and inclusion policy. We have a STEM team. We actually encourage school leavers to come into the company to actually understand all of these things that they talk about on social. And people go, "Do you know, that looks like a real good company to work for?" And so what happens is that people walk towards them and say, "Can I come and work for you?" So they don't need to advertise, or they don't need to get job hunters. They get the best candidates. So they become the employer of choice in their particular industry. And this is the change digital and social media is the fourth industrial revolution. And it happened 2 years ago. And any company that is not working along these lines today are behind.
So how do we get up to speed?
And every day that goes by, they get even more behind. People are overtaking them. Small companies are seeing the benefit of digital and are overtaking them.
So what's your Oh, go ahead.
Well, for start, you could read my book. You could go out and go to Amazon, and
yes,
it's only £20. So that's a small investment to make. And that gives you some more information. But it's about empowering your people to be digital. So what's the difference between social and digital? Social is the conduit into this world of digital. Mm-hmm. So what we're seeing is, I talked earlier on about the digital twin. LinkedIn is in the digital world. All social media platforms are in the digital world. And what we need to do is actually understand that actually it's a bit like the days when the US, when you had just the East Coast was populated. And what happened was that people drove west. And what they did was that they started staking their claims and staking their areas in the mud and saying, this is who I am, and this is what I'm about. And this is kind of what I saw today was about, Doyle, whether you know this or not. This is about you staking your claim in the digital world about strategy and about the things that you believe as an organization and strategy. And here you are, you've not got 100,000 employees, or Deloitte have got 300,000 employees and 8 million followers on LinkedIn, but they're not staking out their digital position in the world. You are. Just think of the power this gives small companies. You can go out there and you can say, and put your flag in the ground and say, this is who we are. This is what we stand for. I am now the payroll marketplace. I am defining that. And what you're doing is that you're saying, this is strategy. This is what strategy is about. Yeah. And what you'll find is that you're eating McKinsey's lunch because of the fact that you are the person that's defining it. They're not. They're still living in the physical analog world. They put out fairly good reports, but they're not doing it in the digital world. And this is the difference. Anybody can set up a podcast. Anybody can set up a live stream and say, this is the marketplace. This is what we stand for. This is what we're about. Whether it's ERP or payroll or payment systems or whatever it is, they can define the market in digital. And we're seeing, we've got a client, OGV Energy, based up in Aberdeen, that are doing this. They put together a show just like this, magazine show. They get people on, come and talk about, you've won a deal, come and talk about how you won it. You've just got some PE investment, come and talk about that. And what they're doing is that they're defining the marketplace, and their competition don't know what to do because they don't have the skills to do this. And what's happening is that the revenue that is a subscription based, what they're doing is that OGV Energy are taking all the subscriptions away from all of the competition. There's such massive disruption taking place, and just having the knowledge of digital and empowering people is gonna, we're gonna go through some hard times because of what's going on in the world and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're going to go through some hard times because digital and the fourth industrial revolution is going to disrupt.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that brings a lot of questions of what can we actually do and how can we do it? And how do we put these pieces to get to in place? And yeah, let's go buy Timothy Hughes' book, Social Selling, second edition. Look, yeah, you've carried this conversation. I actually really haven't said anything. It's because I'm so enamored by what you're actually.
I wanted to say stuff because I wanted to save your voice, Doyle.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate that, Timothy, and thank you so much for jumping in. If you do need to jump out, feel free. We're going to get Dean coming up in the next couple of minutes as well. So just one final question, like what do you see happening? Where is this going? Next year, if we have this same conversation next year, what do you think might happen, or how do we prepare for it?
The people that are going to win in digital are people that are human centric. This is not about having a new ERP system in the cloud. This is about empowering your people to understand digital. This is about them being able to walk digital corridors and have digital conversations. And it's the organizations that do that will still be around in 10 years' time. And I'm sorry, but there's going to be a lot of companies that won't get it. I get a lot of people coming to me saying, for example, at Cyberhawk, the whole of the C-suite are on social. They're all active on social. And I get people coming to me saying, I don't think I should be active. I'm sorry, but it's a digital world and you have to be active in digital.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's going to go. And some companies are going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah. And yeah, we need to, well, look, that's kind of, they're not adapting ultimately. So do they deserve to be going by the wayside as well? So we had a Miguel Machado from the Keen folks, who's it's an agency in Barcelona, and similar, vein of what we're talking about here, but there's no technology without human experience. They are a technology developer, but they have to ensure that, you don't lose that human experience, because those are the companies that are going to be able to capitalize on leveraging the technology.
Yes, and this is about, as I said, I'm repeating myself, but it's about empowering the people, because it's the people. But this is also about, digital gives us access to new processes, new things that we didn't know that we could do before. And the answer that often people think is it's an application. And when I say we can get rid of all the recruitment consultants that you're spending money with and all your recruitment advertising spend, immediately people think, oh, well, is that an app? No, it's not an app. It's about empowering your people to do the right thing with digital. And that's fundamentally different from actually an app. An app is the answer. An app, okay, they're very useful, but an app may not be the answer. And there are new ways of doing things with digital. And then we can strip out cost and we can make the organization more efficient. And these are the organizations that are going to win over the next 10 years.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, it's been wonderful speaking with you, Timothy. I really appreciate the time that you've taken to have this conversation.
Thank you for having me on, and good luck with today. I mean, I have so much respect for you to run this session and be talking for this long and get all these people together. So good luck.
Thank you, Timothy. Appreciate that, and we'll see you on LinkedIn.
And see you soon. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks. Excellent. So that was a fantastic conversation with Timothy Hughes, the author of Social Selling, which will be giving away one of his books coming up as well, very, very soon. So welcome back, Dean, and welcome back, BJ, as well. Good to see you. It's early there.
Hey, Doyle, how's it going?
Yeah, good. BJ,
morning here.
Yeah, it's 5:30 in the morning. I was going to say BJ joined us at the beginning of the day at 9 a.m. my time, which was 8 p.m. So thank you for coming back. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Excellent. So next up, we have Dean Keating from District 32 Networking Business Development Group, all the way from Perth, Australia. Originally from Ireland, right? Did I get it right
That's
this
right.
time?
Yeah, from Dublin originally.
From Dublin. Yeah. Cool. So I'm just gonna put you up here with me in the spotlight.
Hey.
And so welcome, Dean, and thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my background would be business development and sales. So obviously from Ireland originally, in Perth, about 10 years, just over 10 years now. But the last probably 30 years I've always operated in a business development role across telecoms, recycling technology, financial services. Spent some time then just outsourcing myself to a variety of industries and sectors just to do their business development on various projects. Then obviously launched District 32 with Lorraine about 7.5 years ago.
No,
so time
fantastic.
has gone.
Yeah, no, for sure. And tell us about District 32. It's a pretty cool little group.
Cheers for that. Yeah, so as I said, we launched 7.5 years ago. We've kind of positioned ourselves as a business growth organization, kind of supporting business leaders to get to the next level. So we cater for anything from startup companies all the way up to 7-figure businesses. So we've roughly about 380 businesses in the Perth metro area who are involved as members of District 32.
Yeah, how many? 380?
380, yeah.
Okay, that's a fair number.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because it's kind of you're in an enviable position. I talk about the I'm not sure if you saw that, but the strategy survey, and one of the themes that we've been talking about consistently that a lot of the speakers bring up is seeing these kind of signals with business and how things, what's happening, and are we listening, and are we seeing the right thing? And I talk about survivorship bias as well, but ultimately if you have 380 businesses that are kind of different, what's your sense of the business world here? And like, are most of them just Perth based, local, or are they international as well? Or
for the majority of the businesses we're working with at the moment would be Perth based. So I think probably some of the challenges never changed around probably sales, lead generation, and cash flow. So I think those are challenges, I think, for most businesses.
But why is that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, why is that consistent? Why haven't we done anything different or better that would change that in the last several thousand years of business? Why is it still such a struggle?
I think I suppose focusing on even just something like business development, Doyle. Like if you ask most business leaders, or even sometimes a lot of time their sales team, there is no plan, there is no process, there is no strategy. It's a really interesting question to ask. So obviously that impacts on lead generation then as well.
Yeah. So when you say strategy, like what do you mean, or what do a lot of your clients talk about?
Yeah, well, I would say, I mean, there's so much data out there. I mean, like, just take it for example, half of all salespeople don't do follow-ups. As an example, a lot of conversations there around relationship and relationship building, which is obviously key, whether it's social or live. But most business leaders don't have, I suppose, a customer journey. If they get an inquiry, whether it's online or a phone inquiry, what happens next once they've interacted with the prospect? It can be fairly hit and miss.
Yeah. So do you find that a lot of businesses are kind of when it comes to developing a strategy, like why it's kind of like we know that we should be doing something, but we're not actually doing it? Again, I don't know what.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think what you find with most people in business, they're geniuses at what they do, whether they're accountants, IT, website developers. So I think probably the sales and marketing piece can be a challenge for the most part. I suppose a lot of the conversations I've had over the last decade with business leaders is around business development and sales, and it's an area they don't feel comfortable in. I mean, just challenges such as obviously the obvious one, kind of handling rejection. What do you actually say in a meeting? I mean, that comes up quite a lot. Like if I actually get a meeting, what does that structure look like, even just in a one-to-one meeting? So I suppose things maybe you might take for granted. A lot of people actually really struggle. Some people might be introverts as well, which can be challenging for them to go into a business development kind of sales role.
So could we be doing things differently with small business?
Yeah, I think like just I suppose from my own experience over the last 10 years, like a lot of them don't have a system. So I mean, even something basic like having a CRM system. I think you'd be surprised. Even more mature businesses, a lot of them don't have it, and they're not capturing the data, whether it's coming through online or through networking or introductions. And I suppose a good question they should ask: what happens next after they've captured that data? So how are they nurturing it? I think it was really interesting what Tim was saying there, obviously around the social side and strategy, and I think that is a key. And even if you are in the front line of business development sales, it's important that you leverage off kind of socials to nurture prospects, whether that's through LinkedIn or even other social media platforms where people can engage with you, get a flavor of your product or service, or even you as a personality as well, which I think is important.
Yeah. So how do we save businesses? District 32 is not obviously in the business of or saving businesses, or is it? Ultimately.
Yeah, savings is a strong word. I suppose we're keen to work with businesses just to see where they are on their journey, and just see where we can support them through connection to relevant people or the right people. From your own experience, there's a massive knowledge gap for many business leaders around sales, marketing, whether it's online and offline. So we try to support them. We're not positioning ourselves as experts in all those fields, but we can connect people to relevant people who would have more expertise than us in those fields.
Yeah. So how do we make how does District 32 make like the biggest difference? Like there's obviously a huge gap here. How do you guys make that huge difference?
Yeah, I probably we're a bit different from what's in the marketplace here in Australia with networking. We're not looking just to get people into a room every few weeks to network. We're interested in how do we expand our network. So we have other events, other platforms where you can interact outside of the local area which they're involved with us. But also when people are coming on board with us now, we're asking them the questions. What are they looking to achieve in the next 3, 6, 9 months, and just see where we can plug in to support them over the next 12 months, make those achievements. As you know yourself from your own experience, I suppose accountability is key. So like we're looking at linking in with them at every quarter, so just to make sure they're on the right track in a very supportive manner as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's lots to explore here, but what what are some of the barriers you feel for businesses that are not building a strategy? Why don't they decide, okay, we need to kind of, we're busy today, but what about tomorrow? And we talked a lot about that throughout the day. So what are some of the barriers that you're hearing, or maybe you're not, because sometimes we haven't even been able to diagnose that we need a strategy.
Yeah, I think some of it's around mindset, Doyle, in terms of I couldn't do that or I can't do that. And it's at the end of the day, I think with business development sales, it's like every other aspect of business. It's a process that you go through. So I mean, even with I suppose that question asks, well, what do you do next after you get a lead or an introduction? What is the process there? How do you nurture them? And I suppose maybe it's procrastination as well. You got to put some time into developing that system of how somebody interacts with your product or your brand over a period of time. Like, I mean, the stats, there's so much data there. I mean, I suppose the last time I looked, which is a while ago, it takes between 4 and 18 touch points before someone's in the arena to kind of have a look at buying your product or service. So the question I think is, what are the touch points that you've got in place over the next weeks, months, or year for someone to interact with you personally or with your brand? And a lot, I think probably the guys listening to some of the Tim and Mark are on. It doesn't necessarily have to be a face-to-face. You can use like Mark mentioned WhatsApp or what Tim has mentioned as well. Because I mean, we don't have time for sitting in coffee shops all day or traveling around where we're based. So it's great to use the technology such as Zoom for one-to-ones, or even just interacting through social media, sharing articles or points of interest to your prospect or even your clients as well.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a language, like, is there too much buzzwords and that sort of thing? Because I like how you said it, what are the touch points, maybe and I'm just kind of digging in terms of how do we define strategy, because not everybody understands it. But if you're saying what are the touch points you have in place over the next 1 to 2 years or whatever, that's strategy. That's how I see it.
And I kind of I with kind of business development, I always kind of think it doesn't have to cost the earth. I mean, it could be something as simple as a quick phone call. It could be a coffee. It could be a Zoom. It could be sharing an article. It could be some automation like newsletter. It doesn't have to be in someone's face every week or every day, because I don't think anyone likes hard selling, which a number of your guests have touched on. So it can be soft, but it's just to be consistent. As you know from your own experience, that if you're out of sight and you're out of mind, you're going to be out of mind. So if someone needs your product or service, they're not going to remember. They might remember the face, but they won't remember the name or the company name. So it's important that you've got the various touch points. Again, obviously, we'd be a fan of digital as well. So I think it's a mixture of old-fashioned face-to-face or phone, and using digital to kind of leverage your time then as well.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. No, thanks for joining the conversation, Dean. Really appreciate it. Just a final question, like where do you see, District 32 1 year from now or 2 years from now? Where are you guys heading? What are you kind of expanding the envelope, expanding I think you mentioned training, a little bit more training?
Yeah, we've always kind of provided kind of training events. So I think for us for the next year, we're looking to use, say, online platforms to connect across Australia initially. So we've kind of launched in recent months a regional option. So we're looking to collaborate with other organizations across Australia to kind of connect more people for networking events and training events, and look at kind of streaming some of our presenters over the next year as well. So that's the plan anyway.
Well, that's good. And so you did you say that they're going to be online or just kind of
online,
in session?
Online.
Okay. Do you have a platform?
Yeah, we've kind of started over the last 3-4 months. We've been doing some speed networking online, so feedback has been fairly successful. But we've been kind of keen to kind of explore kind of streaming some of our training events that we do, and kind of we do have keynote speakers at our events each month. So look at kind of streaming them from February of next year as well.
Okay, cool. Well, it sounds there's actually one of the shifts I'm seeing in terms of training is making it not just kind of like a linear course where it's like you watch this video, you read this PDF, then you go to the next section. There's a great company, I'm trying to think of the name, but did you have a platform yet? Because it's actually quite cool. They've gamified a lot of learning, so it creates it a lot more interesting. Because I think they were saying that statistically speaking, like 97% of courses aren't actually finished. So if you create an online course, the hard part is actually getting people to finish it, and you want people to finish it because that's you're imparting that value. But if they don't do it, it's because well, they're too busy, they had other things to do, it wasn't a priority, they weren't sure where to start, they didn't understand. But if you can gamify it, then that creates those opportunities to be able to learn a lot more.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right there, Doyle. I think if you're doing anything kind of substantial online, like I think gamification and
Yeah.
rewards are kind of key to keep people's interest, for sure. So yeah, we're looking at incorporating gamification stuff we're going to be doing over the next 12 months online as well. But yeah,
Oh, excellent.
you're 100% on the money.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks, Dean. Really appreciate you taking the time and
No
for
worries at all.
stopping in as well. It's been a great discussion, and again, I love to hear the insights of what's going on in the industry as well. So really
Great.
appreciate that. So if you wanted to jump off, you're more than welcome. If you wanted to hang around for a bit longer too, that's totally fine. I'm going to do kind of a rundown, a sum up, and then we'll jump into the next speaker if we can. When they're available as well. So
Brilliant stuff, Doyle. Listen, thanks again. I'll talk to you soon anyway.
yeah, cool. Thanks, Dean.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Dean, for giving us a great little talk on District 32 and kind of we went through a lot of the environment of business. It's obviously local Perth, but I think that's really important. And that's kind of, we want to be able to see these signals as well. And it doesn't necessarily matter where they're from. We can see what businesses are looking for and what's really important and how to put these in place as well. So, all right. So thank you for joining us, Dean, and we're going to be moving on to the next section coming up pretty quickly. And I'm just going to go into this. All right, so let's wrap up this session. Then we're going to come back live for the next sessions as well. So those are coming up very quickly. Share my screen, make sure that's working. All right, so we're here, strategystorming.co. We're wrapping up this session, and we had some amazing speakers. Next up on tap, we have Scott Kundal from. He's actually joining us from London. He's actually from South Africa. He travels around a lot. It was like Epi Ludwig, who joined us earlier today as well. Scott was living in Bali during the pandemic and then moved back to Europe and then into South Africa. So anyway, he's hopefully joining us in the next 15 minutes or so. And after that, we have Christian Jumelat, who's joining us all the way from southern France at 7 or half past the hour coming up as well. So we've had an amazing day so far. We've done like 2 pages. We're on the third page, so we're almost there. Like we're really close to wrapping this up, which is actually going to be a little bit disappointing because I've had an amazing time. I might start to look tired. My voice might start to be a little bit tired as well. But there's a reason for that. Is because I've been talking to some absolutely amazing people throughout the day as well. And it's been really inspiring and insightful as well. And I really want to thank everybody who's able to join in the conversation as well. So we had Timothy Hughes and Dean Keating just recently. We have Scott Kundal and Christian Jumelat coming up. And then after, in the next hour, we have Simon Hodgkins from Ireland. We have Rob Thierry from Toronto. And then we're going to do a wrap-up session. And BJ, hopefully, if you're still around, you can join us in for that as well. We're all going to kind of just talk and chat and that sort of thing with Tony Flath, who enjoyed it, or rather, who joined in the sessions earlier this morning. Vikesh Singh from India, and Joe Bellissimo he's an Australian, but he's living in Bali. So looking forward to that as well. So why are we here? Well, it's the grand opening of strategystorming.co. Come and celebrate the grand opening of the online strategy studio and shop that is changing how we rethink, reinvent, and reimagine how to do better business through strategy. If you go to strategystorming.co, you can enter to win. We have a number of prizes as well. I've got a number of books. Every hour I'm giving away one of my paperbacks, not just a PDF. I'm going to go into this soon, the strategy canvas. I have a whole gift pack of gifts. We have some brainstorming tools from brainstorming tools from bravestorming.com. Alex was in here earlier talking about that. And we also have some of the models that you can purchase. We have templates for that. And so basically we're opening the doors and saying, hey, come check us out, help, or come see what tools we can use, we can create, we can have for being able to understand strategy and how to apply it. And I think that's one of the first questions I had right in the morning was, are you more sort of the the methodical side of strategy, or kind of more the action and execution. And this is not necessarily, this is my take on strategy. This is this is not formal strategy. Strategy storming is really about taking sort of that art and science of strategy and saying, how do we actually put these pieces together? How do we create that experience? How do we create an understanding of what it takes? Right? What can we actually do differently? How can we produce a little bit better throughout all of this as well? And that's the ultimate goal of strategy storming, is to say, hey, we can do this a little bit differently. We can, understand the chaos. We can make great decisions. We can decide how we want to do business better as well. And that's what's ultimately important here. So, like I said, go to strategystorming.co. There's an entry form there that you'll be put in the draw for a number of prizes as well as we get into that. What we'll also be doing is giving away a pair of your 3D glasses, right, to help us see through some of the BS that we encounter and help us build our strategy as well. So if you're registered, I'll be mailing those out to you. So look for those in the mail. We also have the Easy Strategy Lab Coat, where you can enter to win, which is basically active wear for the creative strategist, right? I've said this before. I kind of want to bring some fun to the old occupation of strategy and strategists and practitioners and that sort of thing, strategy consultants. One of the things that we really encountered when we were younger was when when you're going to chemistry class, you put on the lab coat and you know what you're going to be doing. So you can actually do that. Strategy has never looked nor felt easier as well. So when you put on the strategy lab coat, guess what? You're ready to build your strategy. And that comes to this one here. Actually, I'll do this. No, I'll do that one later. But one of the other things I want to talk about is the neuromarketing advantage of strategy. So what kind of strategic thinker are you? And I think that that's really important to be able to understand how to actually put these pieces in place as well. And one ways of doing that is defining the 9 strategic dynamic styles and which one are you specifically. So you can take a quick little quiz. It doesn't take very long. There's about 12 questions. And it'll tell you what your strategic thinking profile is, whether you're a learner, whether you're an educator, whether you're an innovator, whether you're a creator, an entrepreneur, that sort of thing. So it's a really quick little assessment to be able to see where do you fit, what's important, where are your blind spots as well. So take a look at that. Just take a scan of that QR code and it'll take you right to that survey as well. So what do we want to go before we wrap up this session? Grand opening studio and shop sales. So everything is basically as a grand opening until the 31st of October, 20% off all products in shop. Enter code on checkout, grand opening 20, and you'll get a discount for that as well. There's a number of workshops as well. Pulse checks. There's a lot of stuff there. I'd really encourage you to go and explore that. The 2022 strategy survey, again, this was one of the themes that we've been talking about throughout the whole day, is that we need to see these signals. We need to understand what our market is saying, what businesses are saying, what our clients are saying, what is happening. And so the only way we can do that is by taking the temperature. So that's what this is. It's basically a tool to say, okay, how important is strategy? What are we using it for? When are we using it? How are we using it? That sort of thing. So that becomes very, very important so that we can then chart the course forward as well. So we'll be sharing the results. I really love to get your insights and your feedback. So just go to bit.ly/strategy survey 2022. It's a little bit longer. There's about 20 questions, but I really appreciate you taking the time to be able to do that. And the last gift of the day is the strategy canvas worksheets. So what that actually does is allows you to be able to take the model, this is actually another product as well. It's the Blue Sky strategy whiteboard. So we're able to take the pieces of the model and assemble it into basically what you can see here is a tetrahedron. So it's a brainstorming tool to help you brainstorm your strategy. So we take it, we can actually write through it, right on top of it, and then we're actually able to fold it into the shape as well, like that, which allows us to see how our strategy fits, allows us to piece the pieces together to say, okay, this is how they interact. This is what's really important. And this is not important as well. So one of the gifts of that I'm giving away throughout the whole strategystorming.co launch is the strategy canvas worksheets. And this will actually take you through that model that shows you exactly the steps that you need to go through. So what I've done is I've organized it into basically 4 different components, what I call the AMPS model. So it's based on your audience, your method, your process, and your story. So once you put all these elements together, you're able to create that strategy. So we go through this workbook, basically identifying all those specific questions that you need to be able to answer to help you build it. And ultimately, that's what we want you to do, is to build your strategy. And at the end of the day, then you can actually fill the triangle diagram out. And then through the magic of Zoom, we can actually create a 3D shape of that, of your specific ideas. So this becomes then something that you can talk about, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can show it to people. It's not going to disappear in a pile of paper. It's not going to disappear in a electronic PowerPoint presentation. It gives you something to sit on your desk, to put on your work table, you know, to share with your community, to share with your business what's really important and what priority are we going to be able to work on. And one of the products that we have is with the brainstorming group as well, where we're actually creating templates to be able to map that out on a magnetic board. And I'm really excited. It's not quite on the site yet. We have a few templates kind of in test mode, but we're going to be launching that with brainstorming.com as well. So it's a great little tool to be able to do that. So all you got to do is go to strategystorming.co. And if you enter the code strategystorming-DD in uppercase for digital download, you'll be able to get that. And again, this is for the digital download, not there is a paperback version as well. Your free gift is for the digital download as well. So please go grab it, download it, and then, you know what, make your way through this. It's really, really quick. There's like 18 different questions throughout, and you'll be able to create your own specific model at the end of the day. Excellent. So that's all we have for right now. I'm going to stop this session, and then we'll get the next speakers up and we'll keep going from there. So you can join us again on the live stream on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Facebook group as well. So we will see you guys in a few minutes.